All right, everybody. No Sleeves McGee here for another episode of Wiseguys Video Diary. This is number 7. So last week we released the demo kit for Wiseguys. It's available on DriveThruRPG, so if you haven't yet, pick it up. It's free. $0. 50 pages, adventure, primer, new setting rules, and 6 pre-gens with new edges and hindrances, that kind of stuff. So far the reception has been pretty good, I'd say. A lot of downloads. I think we're a little over 300 downloads right now, which is good. And a lot of buzz going around. We've got the GM stable ran the demo earlier this week, right? So that's on YouTube too. You can check it out. Pretty good job with it. I think they had fun. Looked like they had fun, and they got a good grasp of the rules, the new rules, especially the heist rules, how it works, how it can be molded into what you want to do with it. So we're pretty happy about that. And if you'd like to be part of the playtest, as indicated in the PDF, the free PDF, you can email us at justinsertimagination@gmail.com, and from then, we can work something out. I'd love to. Well, the more people that playtest it, I truly believe that it's going to be better for it. That's probably the main reason why I wanted to release a free demo kit for it. To be an entry into playtesting. I mean, of course, I've run it a couple times, and I'm still running it. I'm running a campaign with awesome players, but you can only go so far when it's your friends that are playtesting it. So, and maybe your crew will be part of the. So with that said, I promised a while ago that I would talk about hindrances and edges and how I like to design them. So, first, hindrances, right? There's only a few in the core book, and after a while, it feels like you're always picking the same ones. And I know people keep saying how you can just trap them and modify them, but this isn't always something that comes naturally to people. And even by looking at the ones in the core book, if you look at something like ugly and mean, it's -2 charisma, right? It's the same. It's basically the same hindrance, but with a different flavor. So this is kind of what I went with for the design for these hindrances. I think, a lot of people say it, but I truly believe it, that you can really give a lot of flavor to your setting with the right hindrances, the one that bring up the type of characters that you want to be part of that setting, whether it be NPCs, but mostly player characters, right? So, let's see here. So, of course, with Wiseguys, you play criminals in that setting, and if you're familiar with Forget About It, I had like little secret notes that I would give the players because they had like intra or inter conflicts in there. They didn't really get along, and that's something you would expect from a bunch of criminals working together, right? I mean, they're going to be at the table working together to solve some problems. This is no different than any other RPGs. And yeah, they're going to be under the leadership of a strong figure, a strong leader that will kind of try to keep them in check. But at the same time, they're not going to agree all the time, and they're going to have their own agenda. So here's one here, blacklisted. So I did the research, and in the movie Casino, they talk about Nicky Santoro, well, the real guy being Tony Spilatro, but for real, that guy got blacklisted in Las Vegas. This is a book, an actual book from like some sort of association between the casinos, where once they suspect someone to be cheating, or all it take really maybe that you're associated with organized crime, or if you tend to win too much too often, you could be blacklisted, which means you cannot set foot in gambling establishment property. So I mean, of course, the main one in Nevada are the casinos, but there are other establishments that aren't really casinos where you'll find poker machines, that type of thing. You're not even allowed there. If you're spotted and your picture and your name gets passed around to all these establishments, if you spot it, call the cops, and the cops come get you. So this is a minor hindrance in the setting, which can lead to funny situations. Also can definitely hinder a crew if the operation, if what they have to do takes place in a casino. So basically you're gonna attract unwanted attention. There are ways around that. You can get a disguise or whatever, but it still makes it more interesting. Get another one here. So I mentioned you play a criminal. How about a hindrance that's called upstanding citizen? So you don't have one criminal bone in your body. You're just a regular Joe. Somehow you got dragged into this crime-ridden setting, and with these guys, maybe you're a gambler, degenerate gambler. You owe them money, and now you're forced to work with them, or they're gonna kill your kids, or whatever. Not that it's not really the mafia's thing to kill people, kids. Get my drift. So yeah, with this, it means that whenever you have to perform an activity related criminal activity, you get a -2. Yeah, you're not good at making money as a criminal. That's a major hindrance. So you see there, you're part of that group, and you're kind of dragging them down, which can encourage some conflict between the characters. One more here. The trademark look. This is a minor hindrance. And so you have a very distinctive appearance. Witnesses usually remember you and can describe you to the cops. So this is a hindrance you take only for your character, but it will have an impact on the whole crew, on the whole group, because when it comes time to soak some of the heat that you might have accumulated through criminal activity, you get a -2 to that to recover from heat levels. And if you're not familiar with heat levels, I may have mentioned it in a previous episode. If not, like I said, go download the demo because it's in there. It's all explained. So as you can see, I feel like those hindrances are very well grounded into the setting, that they offer interesting options for characters, something new, and they have the flavor for it. Have only like 3 or 4 or not even 8 new hindrances. Now I'm at 16 new hindrances for characters. And I made the pitch before to you guys, right, that it's not just for mafia in Las Vegas, it can be for criminals. And something like Trademark Look could work in another setting too. Same with Blacklisted, could be trapped differently, right? Maybe you play a band of outlaw in Deadlands. Now you're blacklisted from this town. As soon as you set foot in it, there are marshals or deputies, whatever, they know who you are. They're just going to escort you out. This is a bit different from Wanted, because if you're wanted, they're just going to apprehend you and go to court, that type of thing. So that's different. So hindrances, yep, that's basically it. Now let's look at edges. So there's been a couple new previews or even full settings that came out recently, and I'm not gonna name them, but I feel underwhelmed by the edges that are given in there. So when you're designing your edges, think of edges as special abilities for your characters in the setting. Ideally, and as often as possible, these should provide the characters with abilities that are otherwise not available to the characters. So this could be ways that some of the rules don't apply to you. Let's look at just something simple like attacking. Okay, you can't perform the same action twice, right? So you can't swing your sword twice at another target. That's against the rules. And I'm not talking about house rules or however you decide to run Savage Worlds, but in the rules you can't. However, if you pick the Frenzy Edge, you can attack twice, although with -2, and then you have improved Frenzy and no penalties. So this is, in a way, it allows your character to perform something that other characters can't do. But what I tend to see lately is a lot of +2 to 1, 2, or skills. And I mean, +2 is a big bonus. It's pretty good. It makes you really good at what you're doing. And you know, the problem I have with those is that, yes, it's good. It makes you better at what you're doing, but it doesn't enable you to perform something that the next guy next to you with the same skill can't do. You might roll a 6 because you have a +2. Good for you. But the next guy without that edge might roll 22. Just saying. So how special you feel now, right? I mean, I'm not saying these edges shouldn't be in there, because they are, but from what I've seen lately, a lot of these new settings, that's all there is in there. Okay, so let's look at some of the edges I've got in there. Maybe one of them I'm really proud of. And I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel here. I'm not trying to do anything that's really out there, or at least I don't think so, but one that you've seen before, but my treatment of it is a bit different, and kudos to Richard Wilcock, because he helped me out with a few of those. But okay, reputation. So this is an edge that you'll probably find in a few settings. Deadlands come to mind, but basically it makes whatever penalty you have, charisma penalty you have, becomes a bonus to intimidate. Which makes sense, right? However, with the right combination of hindrances, not even edges, you can easily get a +6, +7 to start with. Now, I think reputation is quite high. I think it's for veteran rank. So granted, it takes a while to get it. But with a +7 intimidation, that's a big bonus, right? It's like I win button. And if that works for you, that's cool. But what I looked at is instead I looked at an edge that you wouldn't think of for this one, but Beastmaster. Because with Beastmaster, it says in there, not only do you have a companion, animal companion, but animals tend not to want to attack you. And also, I think Beasts and Barbarians use that with Ghoul-Blooded for one of the races. It's a racial edge. And with that racial edge, what happens is undead creatures tend not to attack you unless you attack them first. So that's what I did with reputation. That means that people of the underworld recognize that you're this figure, that you're this important figure that that they shouldn't mess with. Like, don't mess with that guy. So back off. That's the gist of it with this edge. Well, that's one benefit. The other benefit, instead of, I could have gone with some type of lackey or something like that to replace the second part of the edge, which for Beastmaster it's an animal companion. But I didn't want that because I already had another edge for that, henchman. And again, thanks to Richard for that one. But the other benefit is +2 to intimidation rolls when you use your reputation. So this might not work on a total stranger that has no clue who you are, but if they do know who you are, you get a +2 to intimidation. And usually this is reserved to that Iron Will one, one of the social edges, I think. So, and it stacks, so that's pretty good. So I like that. That to me has some flavor. Now let's go with the weird edges, because there's no supernatural in Wiseguys. Didn't feel it like I needed to add it as a twist. A lot of people would go that way. To me, I mean, does it feel Savage Worlds to add supernatural to anything? Yeah, it does. But I don't feel it was necessary for this one. And plus, I wanted to explore, to challenge myself with this. So, with that said, no arcane backgrounds, nothing like that. Although I have an idea for a mini plot point campaign, but nothing yet. So I used the weird edges to add this level of. It's not supernatural. It's more like mysticism a little bit. So there's one called Lady Luck, and this was inspired by a Frank Sinatra song, or maybe song, but popularized by him anyway. And so with this edge, what it means is that your character brings luck to other gamblers, right? So you begin the session with a special Benny that can only spend on gambling rolls, and you can share all of your bennies with anyone as long as it's for gambling. So it's kind of a common bond, but specialized just for gambling. So it's very specific. So that alone as an edge wouldn't be up to par with the other ones, because it's very specific. With common bond, it can be for any reason. So I had to supplement this a little bit by saying that you also wear an expensive piece of jewelry, because typically, if you look at Casino, the movie Casino, Ginger, well, she's a hustler and she brings luck to people, kind of. Or does she? She steals from them, but anyway. So these guys, these high rollers, these rich guys, they want her to stick around, so they buy her expensive jewelry. So you start with one, and that expensive jewelry gives you +1 to charisma. So it's a small bonus, and I felt like I needed just a little bit more, so that you can sell that piece of jewelry, and it's worth $50,000. So short on cash, you can do that, but when you do that, or if you lose it, you lose all benefits from this edge. So that's harsh. So that means that this edge is, I feel, just a little bit stronger than something like Common Bond, because of the +1 to charisma and also the extra Benny. But all that is just for gambling. So I felt like there should be some element of danger in there. And also, what it is a hook for the GM. You're telling the GM, please try to steal my necklace or my earrings or whatever, my cufflinks. Please do that so that I can go after that robber, or I go through this transformation where now my character doesn't bring good luck to people anymore. That was my edge. That was my my edge on the competition. And now I'm really in dumps, and I've got to reinvent myself. So what am I gonna do, right? So. Yeah, if I were to give people advice on designing edges, I'd say try as hard as possible for your edges to give an ability to characters that aren't otherwise available to them, that sets them apart, that makes them feel like they're good at what they do. All right. And of course, sometimes being good at what you do is being able to score high on certain skills, or at least almost guarantee you that you'll succeed every time. And in that case, it might just be that the only way to do that, to accomplish that, is with a +2 to 1, 2, or 3 skills. When you go with 3 skills, usually it should be a very specific situation when you can use these 3 skills. Like Woodsman, it's 2 skills, Stealth and Survival, but only in wooded areas. Thief, same thing, urban areas. So you can't use those all the time. And please stay away from the +2 bonuses to fighting, shooting, throwing. No, don't do that. So, another one here, quick one. Touched on the weird ones, social. Okay, here's an interesting one, because knowing what's coming with Savage Black, if they're going to keep the same things, this is one that will be obsolete. But when I designed these, I had not read Flash Gordon yet, so I didn't know those changes were coming. But let's see, Hustler. I mentioned Ginger and Casino earlier, and that's what she does. She hustles. So you use your charms and guile to fool suckers. You can use persuasion instead of smarts for smarts tricks, and you can include your charisma bonus to that. So that can be used in combat because it's a smarts trick. However, what we know from Savage Black right now is smarts tricks are gone. It's going to be test of wills that are with smarts and spirits, and the tricks are going to be strength and agility. So this edge won't make much sense because of that, and also because you'll be able to use any smarts or spirit related skills when you perform test of wills now. So this action would now become a test of wills, and because you can use any skill related to those attributes, smarts and spirit, you wouldn't need that edge anyway, because that's all it does. That it makes you use persuasion instead of smarts. But like I said, when I designed this, I didn't know these changes were coming. And there's probably a good 3 or 4 edges in there. I've got 20 edges right now, something like that. And probably a good 3 or 4 are just going to be obsolete when those changes come in. And that's cool, because that frees up player characters from picking different edges instead. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's a great thing, that now you don't need a specific edge to be able to do that. List here, knew that wasn't in the demo. All right, here's another one. Las Vegas. mobsters. There's going to be some gambling. And there's also going to be times where the cops might want to question you. So this is that's a background edge right now anyway. Requirements Spirit D8. It's called Poker Face. So you're good at lying, or at least hiding the truth, or tipping your hand when you're playing. So you get a +2 to resist lie detection. Could be polygraph, or when the cop is asking questions and he's trying to see if you're lying, which probably be resisted by your resisted by your smarts or spirits or something like that. So you'd get a +2 on that. And also when playing cards with other players at a table, so using the gambling rules, and you decide to cheat, you only get discovered on a critical failure. In the rules it says you might roll 35 and make crazy amount of money, but if you rolled 1 on your gambling die, you're discovered. People know you cheated. Now you're in trouble, right? But with this edge, you need to roll snake eyes to be discovered, which big advantage. So if you're playing a gambling character, there's like a good 2 or 3 edges in there right now that can make you better at that, so that no 2 card shark will be the same. Well, if they all take the same edges, the same 3 edges, they will, but they all have different benefits, and it depends what kind of character you want to play. So I mean, I could talk about this for a long time, how I designed Gangster 2, the Gangster Edge, which is in the demo, by the way, and this one might go through a couple changes. I think it's got too much in there, but it's easy to get away. The more you know about Wiseguys and how they operate, I mean, I could make a big package with like 3 hindrances and 5 or 6 edges right there, just to feel like I hit the nail right on the head with them, right? But of course, I don't want to do that. I want to keep it as simple as possible so that there can be a variation between gangsters. So, but still, right now there's like 1.5 hindrance in there and almost 3 edges. So I feel like it's a bit too bloated. So that this might see some changes. So anyway, yeah, if you watch this and you want to know more about designing hindrances and edges, and you have maybe a bit more specific questions about balancing. I mean, balancing, just look at the core edges. Just from that, you'll get so much inspiration. You'll understand how it works. And of course, stuff from Zadmar, Richard Woolcock. He's got savage abilities in there, good pointers in there too. I think he breaks it down pretty well, or at least it's going to give you some ideas of how you can use certain edges or elements of an edge to make your own. So yeah, if you want to know, post in one of the comments, or send me an email, justinsert@gmail.com, and yeah, maybe I'll answer them next episode. See what I'll talk about next. But I've been rambling for too long already. Went over a half hour. Friday night, about to play game tonight. New game. Blades in the Dark. This isn't Savage Worlds, but it's about criminals performing heists and that type of thing. So I've been reading the book. Pretty interesting. I can't say that I've used any of it for my design so far. In fact, for the longest time, I stayed away from it because I didn't want it to. But yeah, we'll see. Be interesting. So, good weekend.